I was out in the oil field and got it at noon on the radio.
We have witnessed this morning a distant view, a brief battle off Pearl Harbor, and a severe bombing of Pearl Harbor by enemy planes, undoubtedly Japanese. The city of Honolulu has also been attacked and considerable damage done.
It didn't take a week till the whole United States was into that war.
By the end of 1943, 1 out of every 2 active Americans will either be in war production or in the fighting forces. Prepare now. You will be needed.
I was 17 years old when I joined the Marines in 1943. So I ended up going to boot camp in Camp Pendleton and went across on the hospital ship Rixey into Guam.
For 17 days without let-up, American planes and ships assault the island of Guam in the Marianas. Now a shattering zero-hour bombardment by the combined forces.
It was just like an IMAX theater. You'd look out, you see the shells hitting right alongside of them and others hitting on that side of them. The airplanes coming over, our airplane, they kept strafing, and then the ships, they were shooting over our heads into the shore, and they was clearing the ways for us. So where we first hit was that the Japanese had dug trenches for the Japanese to fight from. And so when we got there, why, the explosion and for all these different reasons, there was quite a few dead Japanese there. So we put them all in one end of this trench that they had already dug. So then we had our foxholes already made for us. So after the first night, why, it worked out pretty good because the Marines, I don't know who did it, but part of the outfit got in there and blew up their ammunition dump that they had in the coral cliffs, and then that killed most of the Japanese that were right there, and then that relieved us of a place to set up and keep on going. You shoot maybe a couple of miles with the 105 Howitzer, and then when they moved up, why, they just moved up to where maybe we was up there half a mile or a mile from where we were to start with. They had people that are specially trained to operate the guns. Then they had peons that kept that gun supplied. I was a peon.
This is the Pacific as you know it. Wide stretches of water. But this is the Pacific as the Joint Chiefs of Staff view it. A battlefield. A vast fortress-studded plain on which key strongholds anchor a Japanese defense line guarding the heart of the homeland. The American front lines had advanced to Guam and Saipan. Ahead now stood Iwo Jima, the most heavily fortified island in the world. Buried deep underground lay 20 years of Jap preparation for murder. 20,000 of their toughest fighting men waited for us to make the first move.
We had to take Iwo Jima before we went into Japan. So we was looking forward to both. They had the 21st Marine, the infantry went in first, and then the artillery came behind it. And I was on the 5th wave going in. the sand on Iwo Jima was so a truck couldn't drive on it. It'd just get stuck. So we had to pull the howitzer in off of the Higgins boat that we were on. We did that by hand. So we all just tied onto it and just pulled as far as we could up in that sand, and that's where we set up. I didn't have to move from there. We did have to dig a foxhole, of course. We dug down and tried to decide, and then all of a sudden we heard these shells and stuff going over, and we were being shelled. We found out we had a hell of a big hole. You thought about staying alive, and you knew that they was going to try to kill you. They had these bunkers that they had already built all along the shore, and the artillery outfit did not go down to the bunkers and stuff. Infantry and that the foot soldiers, that's the ones that they'd go down there and they'd burn out the, use flamethrowers, and they'd do everything in the world to keep things clear, to keep us safe. I mean, you didn't have time to think and worry about how you was and what you were. It was just have everything ready so that you could do what you were told to do. We were still fighting the war, and until we got it won, didn't make no difference what you did, where you went, what you had to do. You did it. And that was just, and so as far as listening to how many got killed on Iwo Jima and how many did this and all, there was very little of that talk in the camp. And you never quit. As long as you got a breath in you, you just don't stop. I try to remember the good things. I've tried to forget the Marines that you've seen dead and that stack them like you would cordwood. And that's the part that I try to forget. Well, serving in the Marines, well, I thought was one of the best things I've ever done in my life. The feeling of how everybody came together is probably one of the best feelings I can get. I'm probably one of the luckiest old men you ever met, and I feel it and I try to live it.